Basketball used to be they used to call it the poor man's game, which has now become the rich kids' game. Because you can't advance if you don't train or have a trainer to pay to be able to get on a team, right? To a skill development or to get the notoriety. I train with so-and-so and he got this hookup connection, whatever. Coach is looking at that. So that's become like this fad now. Not everybody can go out and get a trainer, right? And training is not cheap. We know this.
What's up, RBA family? Thank you for tuning in to the Think RBA Podcast, where real ballers adjust. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss any of our new content. Oh, and don't forget, hit the comments. We want to hear from you.
I bring this up because it's a topic that's really trending. It's really picking up, and a lot of the big sports personalities are speaking about it. Whereas Luka Dončić, LeBron James, and Steve Nash were on their Mind the Game podcast. Luka Dončić was a guest, and they did a 2-part series on just this topic where they talked about youth sports and the state of it at the current time, and just like the whole concept of how the whole idea of when you drive by now past a field or not a field but a basketball court. Normally, what do you see? It's empty, right? Kids aren't playing out there anymore. We run clinics, and I have parents reaching out to me, oh, what facility is this being ran? No, we're going to do this outdoors, right? Where you learn to build character, grit and grind, learn how to take the heat. Like, that's how we grew up, out on the concrete, hard top, like black top, hardcore, right? We weren't indoors all the time. That was a premium. Also, the fact that how sports, there's a pressure on kids that you have to perform. You have to perform. And there's this constant pressure. And it's almost like they're driving kids to burnout too fast, too quick. And kids are letting go of the sport or letting go of their love of the sport. And so Luka, his foundation did a study on this concept. It was a 5-month study across 2 continents. And what they realized based on that study was about 70% of kids quit youth sports or just stop playing about at the age of, don't quote me exactly, like 13, 14, because they burn out, right? It's almost like you're a child and you're not allowed to be a child. And now the adult is expecting you to behave and work like an adult because of that rat race that so-and-so is training, you need to too, right? If the kid doesn't love it. So we almost want that, we wish that journey that we would have been on, we want it for our kids.
Daddy ball,
whatever that may be, right? Or bleach your dad, coaching from whatever. Like, you're always in your kid's ear about a little too much, too fast, expecting high expectations, which is maybe unrealistic so early because there's this whole concept of puberty, right? The kid hasn't even grown yet. They haven't matured or developed yet. And you're expecting greatness when he hasn't even learned the foundation and fundamentals, right? And then the other side of it was where Draymond spoke about it, something LeBron mentioned, specifically for basketball. And I feel like this applies to many sports, even football, where sports has become, where basketball used to be they used to call it the poor man's game, which has now become the rich kids' game. Because you can't advance if you don't train or have a trainer to pay to be able to get on a team, right? To a skill development or to get the notoriety. I train with so-and-so and he got this hookup connection, whatever. Coach is looking at that. So that's become like this fad now. Not everybody can go out and get a trainer, right? And training is not cheap. We know this. Right? We know this. So like the fact that you found a youth camp that's free, I'm sure that's probably got booked in like a few hours.
0.2.
Right. So that whole side of like how the capitalism behind youth sports is shifting, and then also from a training opportunity standpoint, and then also on the flip side, a parent, how do I keep my kid competitive enough to give him or her a chance to advance? If I can't afford it, it's out of my means. So now what happens? And then kids don't want to play outdoors. They want to go into these air-conditioned facilities. I know football is an outdoor sport, but you still have the indoor training stadiums. I think same thing's happening for soccer. So what do you think about all this? Like, where's this really? What's going on here? That's a lot of. It's deep.
That was deep. There's a lot of ground we could go, but I'll just start my own vulnerability and personal experience. Like, even just this summer, we decided we haven't had our kids in a formal summer camp since they were real little. And that we only did that because, my wife worked there, and then basically she would get paid more than what their camp tuition was. It was like an easy thing. It was like extra money in the summer, keep the kids busy while they're young and developing. Last year was kind of a rough summer. It was like, kids would get kind of restless at times. And I remember my wife saying, we need to find some camps for them. Now, I'm not sure that she meant sports camps, but if she put it up to me,
she put it on
she put it on my plate, I'm going to find a sports camp. So I've spent quite an extensive time researching camps around, and for football, for softball, for my daughter. And yeah, definitely the thing that's popped out the most is the price. I mean, for quality camps. And so even some of them, like, you know, had some discussions about spending, how much money to spend, right? And like I told them, obviously, well, each of them, I had them sign up for a quality camp, for like a quality place. One of them being at St. James, a big facility around my daughter, right? And then sprinkling it with some other like good camps, and then some other ones that were still like relatively inexpensive that I don't know how it's gonna be like. So for example, my son is doing a football camp next week, Monday through Friday, 9 to 2 or 9 to 3, like that, whole week, with one of the local high schools, led by their football coach and members of the football team, right? And it's for middle school. So it was only $175 for the week. That's comparatively to everything else, cheap, right? Comparatively to the $475 camp at the prestigious facility, right? So to be determined, like how that all plays out. But just going to say, like, you know, 4 camps each for the summer, I mean, easy $1,000. Right? And nobody has that. And so I definitely feel, I mean, you know, I've been blessed that like I'm in the situation where I do kind of have it, you know, and I can afford like a luxury of saying, okay, I want my son to train with this particular football trainer, or do this 7-on-7 team that somewhat expensive, you know, to have those opportunities. But I also balance those too, because again, like you said, there's so many dads, and I've been very careful to both my wife and to my kids. If you want to do it, I'm going to support you, right? I'm going to save the money and put you in these camps to do all of, you know, my daughter, like I found this really 6-week batting camp, right? An hour a day for better batting. At a facility though, not outdoors, but it comes out to like $13. It's manageable, but it's in one chunk. It's a lot of money, but you're getting a lot for a value. But saying that to say, yeah, it's not cheap, especially if your kid, you know, does have potential and could be elite, getting on the teams, getting the registration, and then, you know, travel teams on, like, that's a whole nother thing, because you got to have money for the non-registration stuff. So we're just talking about camps here. You know, if I have my daughter in 2 tryouts for travel softball. Now, do I think we're going to do that? Probably not, even if she makes the team. But like, I just want to see where she's at, right? So I told her, like, just another practice. All we're doing is going to practice. It might be called a tryout. And if they want you on the team, we can say no, right? But it is very, very, the equipment's expensive. Registration fees are expensive. Get onto a travel or AAU or whatever, that's going to be expensive. All the other things that you have to pay for. And just to kind of put a cap on everything, I am crazy enough though. I say all that to say my rational side. I am crazy enough though that if D continues, both kids, especially D, continues on the path that they're on, I'm going to save up the money to send them one summer. IMG.
Okay. I bet it is. I bet it is.
It is expensive.
We'll probably wait till he gets to high school.
But it's the name. Oh, no, yeah. This is, well, I said one day.
Yeah.
Because that one day was like in the, maybe like between freshman and sophomore or sophomore, junior, depending on how freshman year. His development. Yeah, it depends on how freshman year high school football goes and everything. But I also, why do I want to do that? If he's serious about it, right? Why do I want to do that? Because I know that I have to invest in something quality. Right? And I know that's quality. Why do I know it's quality? Because how many players have come out? And I hope that gets back to the point you're trying to make, right? With all of these teams and everything. Like, if your kid gets into sports, it's very expensive. Correct.
And then you just, like you said, you multiply it by each kid.
Right.
Depending on the sport. Right? Softball, baseball is a very expensive sport. It's a very expensive sport. Golf, tennis, football is becoming that. Basketball is becoming that. Like, there's probably very few sports, or if any, that are really for the they used to call it the poor man's sport, until you are ready to get to some sort of organized fashion of it, right? So and then that's the pressure that you put on the kid, though, right? You have this pressure to perform, and that's what's potentially for some kids, not every kid, obviously. Many kids, is from what the study is telling us, 70% is burning them out. It's taking their love away from the sport. And we learn a lot of life lessons through sport, teamwork and camaraderie and chemistry, right? The intangibles. So at what level, right, is you find that balance where it's not detrimental and you still have your love, but you're not pushing to the point where it's like, man, that's not fun anymore.
So I would say, for me, and I'll be interested to see what you say too, but like my tactic, because at first my wife thought that she's like, are you like live out your dream vicariously through your son? I'm like, look, no. Second of all, it'd be kind of fun, but no, right? Like, but he legitimately loves it.
Right.
And so like, again, like I said earlier, I've told both of them, if this is what you're passionate about, I'll support you. If something else, whatever it is, I'll support you and give you the resource. So like D, if you want to do football, I will sign you up for it. I will find camps for you. I will do these things because I work hard and I'm blessed enough to be able to do so. And that's what I'm going to choose. Rather, I'm not going to choose to spend the money on me. I'm going to choose to spend on you and your development and your passion. Right. But I don't just go sign them up for things and say, just go do it. Right. We talk. We have a conversation. Do you want to do this? Do you want to, one of the camps that he's waitlisted for $550 camp, but should be pretty good quality if he gets in. Ask him, do you want this or do you want that? Here's the pros and cons. Let's talk it out. Do you want to do waitlisted here or do you want to go do this? I want to be waitlisted. So I think for me, it's also, I've heard of dads, teen dads, parents who just go and they tell their kids what they're going to be doing. Right. They take them around from activity to activity. I can see where that burnout could be, but I try to take this. I think it's a good thing where like, let the kid decide, right? Let the kid help decide. Right. Here's your options. Here's what we could do, and then if they say nothing, like, okay, well, then let's reevaluate if this is just a hobby or if you're passionate about it, right? I mean, and that's also teaching at the same time. Because either way is cool. It just matters how much time and energy we're going to invest into whatever we're going to.
No, I'm similar, right? Like for my son, I tell them, or actually all my kids, my two little ones are going to start this. We'll see. One is super excited. My daughter is like, So I was like, all right, well, you know what? Do the shortest season possible, which is the summer season for basketball. At least get a taste of it. So you don't have to do a full-blown 4-month winter season. Do a short season. You like it, great. You don't, that's fine. And then we'll try something else. No problem. And I'm never say you have to do it, but I want you to at least try, right? Because you'll never know if you don't try. Like, it's just like food, right? At least try. You don't like it, fine. So similar, my youngest is showing more enthusiasm. My oldest is, you already know, like he lives, dies, breathes, hope. I don't have to go encourage or motivate him. He just does things on his own. And his mom gets very frustrated. Sometimes a ball bouncing in the house, constantly like, go downstairs and in the basement and bounce. Because he just is hoop, all that. But at the same time, I do realize like the burnout portion. So every season I ask him, what do you want to do? Because he's always been in 2 leagues. Been in travel, and then he does the rec one in the sense of I want to play older competition, which he does in travel as well, but it's more so I want to work on certain parts of my game. He focuses on building his game with the rec kids, and then he takes it to the AU group. I'm revealing my playbook here.
You are.
So, and then he does a lot of external work outside of that, but that's on his own accord. He wants to do that. He talks to me about, all right, what else do I need to do to separate myself from the competition? So then we have that conversation like, okay, no one's doing this. So you may want to start doing this. A lot of these kids are only going indoor facility. So which tells you what? Remember that one finals when the AC blew out in San Antonio and they had to play in the heat and LeBron cramped up? Well, if you're used to playing in the heat, you ain't got to worry about that. Right? Not to say LeBron's not, like he can't handle, but whatever, like they're used to it at that point. So if you only ever played indoor, how do you know how to survive outdoors? So that just builds character. So you have to grow outside to succeed inside. That's in the sport of basketball. At least I believe that. And the other part of it is I give him an off season. In this, I don't give it to him, but like I tell him, you hoop all the whole year. You probably want to take an off season, right? Whatever that may look like. That may look like you want to train only. You want to take a few weeks off. You want to do other types of work that's non-basketball related to help your game grow. Not gonna review. But so he came to me and he said, I want to coach. Mind you, the kid's in 5th grade, right? The kid's like, I want to coach because he helped me train this last spring season. And we trained like all the 8 different age groups. And he was training the 1st, 2nd graders, even the 3rd, 4th grade. And he absolutely loved it. The kids loved him. So I paid him for it. All right, well, if I'm getting paid to do it anyway, I'll pay you so you can build that mental strategy, how to build a program, how to train others, what the foundation should, right? Giving a glimpse of my playbook here a little bit. And that taught him, all right, how do I connect with players? right? How do I build a program? We go from basic cross to this and that. We grow, we develop. Then he started strategizing. So, all right. And he's like, Dad, I want to try coaching. This is beautiful. This is a true off season, technically, because you're not really playing, but now you're studying the game IQ wise. So now he's going to coach 3rd, 4th graders as a 5th grader who's already playing up. So when he goes and plays, like, he's going to already know what the coach wants, thinks. This is why he's getting mad here and there. And like the advantage that's going to give him is significant. So his mental IQ, like, I'm so excited to see how he coaches, his style. How do I deal with refs? As a player, like on a coaching side, you don't know that. You just know as a reason, he's calling a foul on me. I'm not doing anything. Time management. Right? These are team chemistry. How do I control this group of misfits who are not listening? Right, young kids, right, elementary. Like, how do I keep them in control? How do I make them follow direction? How do I place position? How do I look at the defense and then position my team to do whatever? Like those mental exercises. Like, I don't know any other kid doing. So you're welcome if you're going to take this. I expect my check. But I feel like that right there. So this also opened a lot of like aha moments to a lot of people who heard about this. So now he has an assistant coach. Kick me out as the assistant coach, and he has an assistant coach. So now I'm security in case some parents want to, like whatever, I can handle that. And now other parents are like thinking, oh, I should make my son or daughter an assistant to help think the game, to get them prepared for that next level. Whatever. So like he's already setting like a trend locally at least, but I know he has the mind for it because he's always strategizing, always coming up with. So like I'm excited to see how he's going to implement for that. Like I'm super proud of him. Like, shit, bro, you telling me to do that at 5th grade? Like, I'll be like, huh? What is that? What is that? What? Coach, what? Huh? How do I do that? So that's how I give him a break, right? That's how he takes a break and doesn't get burnout. So now he's so excited to do it. He's enjoying it. So he still loves the sport without me having to say, or anyone having to say, oh, regimen, routine, 1,000 push-ups, blah, 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 whatever, 1,000 shots. Like he doesn't have that grind or burn anymore. So that's how we kind of like, and then the other side from a parent, as far as finances are concerned, right? My loophole around that is once I figured out AAU tournaments, I'm paying to see my own kid play. Like what? I got to pay what? $40-$50 plus parking to see my own kid play who's probably going to get limited minutes? Oh, hell no. How do I get in for? Oh, I get free if I assistant coach. Oh, if I'm on the coaching staff, I get in free? Bet. Let's go. I mean, think about it, right? You come to a few games, like that's what are you paying for? And then on top of that, what I learned, so 3 kids, $1.75, you said, right? $1.75 times 3 per season throughout the years. So, all right, how do I get around that? Well, I'm gonna volunteer. And then volunteering just turned into my passion, and passion turned into, I got hired as a trainer. But not everybody's goes down that road, but still like the way around it is to allow your kids to participate and not be isolated, right? And to build those skills and confidence and be part of something. You got to figure ways around the system as well. And that's how I figured out, at least for me personally. Like I coach, and now like the league is allowing all my kids to play for free because dad's a trainer, which opens the doors for them. But otherwise I'm dropping almost 3, 4, 5 bills per season, 2K. Like that's yeah. So that was my long-winded way of saying like there's ways to navigate it. But what I'll say to the new parents is talk to other coaches who are already in it, who have like, how did you, like, what was your journey? What was your path? So you can alleviate yourself from a lot of grief, a lot of those pitfalls and bumps that will frustrate you and be a lot of rough car rides home. Just having these ridiculous expectations. And from yourself.
I also think, just to put I'm going to go in a little different direction, but I also think that no matter how much it becomes a rich kid's game, right? And the haves and the have-nots and who can afford to put their kids in camps or not, whatever. I think there's one thing that will always continue to ring true in sports, no matter what, is that the kids who have the passion are gonna make it, the real true passion.
Absolutely.
And the ones that keep that passion, that don't say, oh, I did it for a couple of years and I like it, but I'm not that in. I'm talking about the ones that make it to the league and you're like, yeah, I've been wanting to be in the league since I was out the womb. Right. You know, that true real passion, it is most likely going to make it all day, every day over the kid whose just parents have money and was able to put them in camps. Because they're not going to work as hard. They're not going to scrap, right? You got kids that come from nothing, right? That make these. And why? because they scrap. They know what hard life is. It's not because they got to go to a bunch of AAU camps, right? Or maybe in high school they got noticed and had some people help and take care of them. As nowadays they start the NIL recruiting at like 8th grade. You know, you gotta start thinking about your college brand. You gotta start thinking of your athlete brand. At 8th grade, got that text today.
It's crazy.
Right, from a parent who has a kid going into high school, right? Crazy. Asking about branding, like crazy. So the people who have a passion for it without the resources are always going to make it over people who don't have the passion but do have the resources, because they are going to scrap their way towards it, where the others are just they're not gonna put in the work.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the content, remember to like, share, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications.